passes, they tend to ice up a little bit more quickly. And this is just a look at storm reports being reported, and these are all ice that you see here across the Midlands. So we've had numerous reports of ice accumulations, even if it's just a glaze. But, again, we could see some additional ice accumulations as we go through the afternoon. This is a look at the latest model run, our in-house model showing future radar. This is at 1 o'clock, even up to 3, 4 o'clock. We're still looking at the potential of freezing rain. This was not the case with the earlier run, so we could see some pockets of freezing rain as we're beginning to make that transition to all rain for much of the Midlands. Looking ahead to mid to late afternoon, it looks like. So again, still a possibility. Keep that in mind, but we are going to see that transition to all rain eventually later this evening and into tonight. That moves out, and we're likely to still have moisture lingering on surfaces because we're not going to see a lot of it evaporate. So unfortunately, we'll have the black ice due to refreezing of that moisture left behind by this system. Now, as we go through the rest of this morning and into part of the afternoon, this is a look at additional ice accumulations possible, and it looks like the greater likelihood would be for areas such as Saluda, Newberry, Winsboro, and up towards the North Carolina state line. So our 10-day forecast also showing, even after we get the precipitation out of here, we've got a cold week ahead of us. And in fact, we could start out Tuesday morning in the teens, but thankfully we don't have any precipitation to go along with that. And I also want to say that tomorrow morning we won't have any precipitation to go along with it. It's just that we could see parts of the Midlands fall back to below freezing by tomorrow morning, and we could have moisture kind of left behind from the system today, and that could refreeze. So that's where we're seeing that threat.
Okay, and that is something important to just keep in mind. And what time kind of are we expecting that system, the potential rain, maybe the heaviest impacts of the rain, not freezing rain, but just the rain?
I think that we'll start to see the rain moving in from the west. It will still have some pockets of freezing rain. Okay. I think the farther north you are, I think by around 3, 4, 5 o'clock, but it will slowly all transition to regular rain. And it's, it could come down heavily at times. This is going to be through late tonight. Should be out of here by around midnight, I think, for the Midlands. But we're likely to have some heavy downpours. Could even hear some thunder.
Okay,
so, it's quite a system we are dealing
It
with.
Is when it rains, it pours, and that's definitely the case with this system. Sandra, you touched on it for sure, just kind of giving people a heads up about black ice. And I had a question for you, kind of black ice compared to ice. Are there extreme differences? Obviously, all of it's dangerous. We need to be careful.
I think the danger of black ice is that the pavement looks wet, but it's actually ice. So it can be deceiving.
Yes.
So, I think that is the main concern with that. And it comes from moisture refreezing, so not due to any falling precipitation, but just moisture that's kind of in place from previous precipitation. Those temperatures fall to below freezing, and so then we have that black ice forming. But also, I think the main concern is just, it looks wet. The pavement, it look wet, but it may actually be ice.
Right. If you've ever hit a black ice pocket before, you don't want to do it a second time. So it's definitely something to just keep in mind. Be very cautious if you are out on the roadways. Drive slowly. Give a lot of space between you and another car. Right. Just really important information to keep in mind there. But Sandra, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I know you guys, obviously, we're going to be checking in with you guys throughout the day.
All through the day.
Doing these really cut-ins and just kind of giving information because with the ice that we are seeing across the Midlands, it is having impacts. We have seen some Midlands government closings, which I will go over with you all here shortly, and then some schools change from e-learning also to just being closed altogether. Again, I'm going to go over all of this with you guys already.
Yeah, and I think it's always best to err on the side of caution. So like we've been saying, if you don't need to be out on the roads, just stay home. But eventually we'll get to above freezing later today for most of us, but it looks like as late as 3, 4, 5 o'clock, the farther north you are, could see some pockets of freezing rain. But the good news with the heavy rain is that it should help to melt the ice accumulations built up from earlier in the day. Maybe not all of it, but it should help depending on how much we get and how fast it comes in, because again, we could be holding on to that colder air a little bit longer in the day. But but it could help melt some of the ice accumulations from earlier in the day.
And I do want to touch, now that we have the 10-day forecast still up, kind of touching on, obviously Monday going into Tuesday, we see temperatures potentially in the teens, and kind of explaining how, yes, we are going to still maybe have some very cold temperatures, but it really is the precipitation that is the dangerous aspect, kind of the combination for this. And are we expecting to see, I mean, Monday afternoon, should the precipitation and maybe what's left over from Sunday melted?
I would think that it should, we'll have some sunshine. Temperatures, will be, more than 10 degrees above freezing for most of us. I do think that the precipitation should, unless it's like in a sheltered area,
Right.
and some of our northernmost communities where they're going to be dealing with that potential for temperatures to be a little bit colder for a little bit longer. But I don't think that we will. I think it should be dry by that time. But temperatures down into the teens. Something that I would suggest for that is that if you have any exposed outdoor pipes,
Right.
maybe try to wrap those, because that's quite a bit below freezing. You don't want to risk those bursting.
Absolutely. All very good tips there. And like I was saying earlier, I do want to go over just some updates with you guys to make sure, as far as closures or changes to schedules, you guys have all the information you need there. With that, Sandra, I am just going to kind of pull up just for everyone to look out for a moment while we're doing this. Sandra, I know you do have to get back to your, plan of the forecast, obviously keeping us up to date. So that's why I want to give you time to do that. And in the meantime, I'm going to be going through some more of these updates with everyone. Obviously, you are looking at the 10-day forecast right here. Our amazing weather team has done a fabulous job keeping it just up to date and everything we need to know with that. We are on all of our streaming platforms right now, including Facebook. So if you guys have any live questions, please let us know. I know Sandra is going down there, so if it's specifically weather-related questions, I will do the best to answer, but I'll definitely defer to our weather team, whether that is now that we answer them or we save that for them, because like I said, we're going to be on digital. We are here for you guys. And with that, I am actually going to go over the Midlands government closures that I know we mentioned. We also caught this, or you may have caught this on air when we were going over that. But just to give you guys another update on what we are seeing. Richland County offices, those will be closed to the public on Monday, which is tomorrow. That's the county's solid waste and recycling facilities will also be closed. Again, this is from the winter weather. We're still obviously in this, so we need to just kind of be patient. City of Columbia facilities will be closed tomorrow as well. Kershaw County, they are announcing that offices, courthouses, library branches, landfills, and convenience centers will be closed on Monday. Now, these centers are expected to open on Tuesday. Convenience centers, that is, will be open on Wednesday, January 28th for Kershaw County. So we just need to kind of keep those in mind. Obviously, all of this can be found on our website. That is actually what I'm on right now. I'm going to give you guys kind of some, obviously, if we can see that. Sorry, I'm kind of making it difficult for y'all, but we are posting everything that we are getting on our digital platforms for you guys to have. We've done a wonderful job, our digital team, to kind of keep everything updated as much as possible. And with that, I'm actually seeing our e-learning. We can go to our school closings, maybe updates. That is wonderful job. They are one step ahead of me. So you can see now e-learning for Monday: Richland 2, Lexington 3, Lexington, Richland 5, Newberry, Kershaw, Sumter, Fairfield County School District. So again, these are on e-learning. Now, a development we did have since this morning: Richland 1 was originally on an e-learning schedule. They have now decided to be closed tomorrow. So if you are in the Richland 1 school district, you do not have school. They are closed tomorrow. And of course, we updated that on our website. And actually with that, we can go to the next graphic. You guys are so amazing. I love my team. Richland 1, obviously offices are closed. Saluda County is operating on a 2-hour delay. This is another one to just kind of keep an eye on and be cautious with traveling on the roads, even being on that 2-hour delay. Just be very cautious when you are going about this. Lexington 1 and Lexington 4, y'all are operating on a normal schedule right now. And based on their websites, they are expecting to update the community, their families, their students by Sunday afternoon. That is this afternoon. So if anything changes there, we of course will let you know. Orangeburg County, you're operating on a normal schedule there too. So all of this is also, of course, posted on our website. Another thing, we definitely want to see your weather. If you are able, and in a safe environment. Do not do it if you are driving, but if you are home, we'd love to see your pictures and videos so you can show us the conditions of really what you're seeing out there. But with that, I'm actually going to check our Facebook too to just make sure if you guys do have any questions, we're not missing anything. Let's see. And you know what? I actually have a post from our very own Judy Gatson, who says, Highway Patrol and other emergency officials asking everyone to stay off the road because bridges, you need to be very careful, those freeze first. And we do have a question, what should we expect at 12 p.m. today for the Columbia area and for Sumter County? All right, so based on what our weather team has been reporting, freezing rain is expected through early afternoon for the Midlands, those areas included. So I would definitely say be prepared for that. I can't give you the specific breakdown of it. That is definitely our weather team. But based on what they have said, freezing rain is expected through early afternoon. Then we will later on see a traditional rainfall. I know we're kind of having to differentiate between freezing rain and rain, but at least through early afternoon, what they are projecting right now, what they're seeing is that freezing rain. So I would say around noon today, definitely kind of be on the lookout through right now. I guess it's 11:30 at this point. And downtown Columbia, I walked out there not that long ago, and what I'm seeing out the window right now are conditions that are slick. When I was out there, I had, my snow boots on ready to go, but it still is slick, so be cautious. With that, driving conditions, they get slick. Sandra was talking a little bit earlier about ice on the roads and about black ice. So obviously, that is something we are continuing to track and monitor. But if you are out on the roads, just keep that kind of top of mind. It definitely is something to just be aware of if you do have to drive. If you don't, even better, stay home. But if you do, we know obviously it's easier said than done to stay home. We all have jobs, places we need to be. So if you have to go somewhere, just do so carefully. And I'm actually going to talk about our emergency shelters because our team is, again, just so on top of it, you guys. Now, we have about 31 that the South Carolina Emergency Management Division has posted across the state right now. And again, we'll continue to update that number as we see updates with it. These are some that are open in the Midlands. So you can see on your screen, Fairfield Central High School, Ridgeview High School, Saluda High School, Nisa Senior Center, Vance Senior Center, and Orangeburg City Gym is now an emergency shelter, Gallman Elementary School, as well as Batesburg Leesville Senior Center, and Radius Church White Knoll Campus, that is located in Lexington, and they have been wonderful. We have actually met with their pastor multiple times, and they just do incredible work. So we love them. All of these are amazing resources to have. And don't forget St. Francis Episcopal. All of these are just great to keep in mind while you are needing a place to stay. Meanwhile, if you do have any medical needs, we want to show you the number. You can call DPH. Again, that number right there on your screen, 833-351-9990. So this is great, though. Just keep it in mind if you are going to a shelter, if you are going somewhere. Speaking of medical needs, make sure you have your medications if possible. Bring what you can with you. And it's definitely important. Now, I do want to say shelters versus centers. We have both posted on our websites. Shelters are the ones that generally provide a little bit more. You can have that overnight lodging where centers might just be for a certain amount of hours. So again, keep that in mind before you go somewhere. If you have the option, look it up on our website. We're going to have everything there for you. With that, it'll be the hours included as well. So just want you to keep that in mind. Other information that you should know about in regards to our state response, we're going to have a number that we can pull up on our screen right there. We're giving you a lot of numbers to write down or either take a screenshot of. But 866-246-0133. If you have just questions that you're just kind of wanting to be in the know, we like to provide information. And if you are still wanting more, well, this number is a great one to do just about the state response. We've had a lot of that. I'm going to try to just keep pulling up some details that we've been telling you guys on the show. But just to provide you here, it is important to just feel like you have a grip on what's going on. Basically, nobody wants to be left in the dark, so I totally get that. I'm going to kind of ask our digital team if we are able to pull up any photos and videos that I know you guys were sending in earlier. If so, I know they will get that queued up, but we were seeing, like I said, kind of that wintry mix of the freezing rain, the sleet, and going outside. I mean, you could absolutely see it on the railings, on the roads, and it was kind of a whole mix of things. I know I'm presenting a lot for you guys with my digital team, but they are working nonstop to do this, so I really, really appreciate it. And I know as we're providing you information, I do want to just give a shout out to everybody here who has just done incredible work. Our weather team is on this. They've been tracking it for well in advance before it got here. So do absolutely want to say a huge shout out to them and our digital team, the people you don't see, and of course, our reporters who are out in the field. It is important to just recognize and have them stay safe during this. Okay, I'm just checking our messages right now. I want to make sure that I'm giving you all the latest up-to-date information. Lugoff Fire, they have been out on the roads this morning, and they are saying that roads are pretty slick from ice accumulations. Again, they're saying it just like everyone else. If you can avoid travel, do so. I'm going to check out to see if we have any icy road conditions, road closures, anything we need to know for that. If you guys are seeing something, please just let me know. And I'm going to keep kind of looking through and scrolling. I know I can also check Facebook here on my phone to give you guys updates if you are asking something. Team, you guys are doing amazing, so I'm gonna check it here myself just to be safe. Let's see if we can do the WIS. All right. Here we go with it. Our weather team, Chandler and Sandra, have been down here, and I know Sandra went into it a little bit earlier just about the difference between freezing rain and rain and kind of what we're expected to see. I know there was a question earlier just about kind of what we're expecting around noon, around early afternoon, and that is the freezing rain conditions through early afternoon. But we do have normal rain coming as well, and Sandra said there could be the potential of maybe a few thunders, roars in there, so just be aware if that is coming. But of course, we're going to be with you through it all. This is part of it, and we love to do that. So I'm literally scrolling on my phone right now through our information, through our WIS, and I do see those images. Amazing. Look at this. So another option, if you do, go to send it to 10, and that's where you can put the photos, the images that, look at that. They are right there on your screen. Oh my goodness. All right. That is in Orangeburg. Wow, it's coming down. Would you guys be able to play that one more time? Y'all are so amazing. Oh my goodness. All right, so you can see the wintry mix. Even when I was driving in this morning, I thought it looked like rain, and it was, when I went to do my windshield wipers, it stuck on my car. It was freezing rain. I mean, our team was dead on with that one. Look at that. Okay, I'm seeing that is in Gaston, I believe. You can obviously, I mean, it is coating the ground. So it definitely, these are conditions that we keep reminding you about just to be safe, err on the side of caution. And just, if you are going to be outside, whether it is to just go outside, maybe you're walking, standing, doing whatever it is, and especially driving, something to keep in mind. Flight travel, I know we were tracking that as well. A lot have been canceled. And so with that, if you are going to be going anywhere with a flight, you want to know your information, I would definitely call ahead before you do that, just to be safe. I mean, you don't want to show up to the airport, especially drive if you do not have to, or if you know that it's not coming anymore. But with that, let's go ahead and see. I know I have a few other information and details. Churches, okay, we had a lot of closures today, but then a lot of them go to streaming options. So maybe you're in your church streaming service right now. We hope you are. And then we have all of those listed online as well. Some of them are closed, a lot of them are, but then some of them also are providing the streaming services as well. So just, again, something to just check out. If you have time at home, these are great resources to have. And I know our website, that is where I'm getting a lot of our information. Our team is constantly updating that. I know you can see a few of the people behind me, and they really are the ones making this happen. So really have to give a huge shout out to them. Let's see if we can get our school closures and updates, which we had that. You guys are good. Y'all keep doing what you are doing digital. I'm just pulling up things through our website to make sure what I'm seeing is still the latest up-to-date information for you guys. And I'll tell you what, we're going to actually go to our little winter weather chat. That is where we are getting updates kind of about everything we are seeing. And again, I do want to say, Lexington County, they did have a number of roads that are icy. They said at that time, no roads are closed, but many are icing. And actually, I can go through that full list since we have a little bit of more time here. Community Drive, Brady Porth, Hope Ferry Road, Cherokee Trail, and this is at Old Cherokee Road. We also have Harmon Park Drive and Lee James Court. Here we go into Fish Hatchery Road, Park Road, Burton Road, and Bruner Road. And a lot of these roads, obviously they are treating them. We have the Department of Transportation, state agencies really working across the state. They've already placed 3,000 personnel, stationed them ready to go, and then later about 1.5 million pounds of brine to kind of treat these roads. But a lot of them are focused on the main interstates and the busy roads. Now these rural roads that you may live around, that you may see, those ones are the ones that they are saying expect to be more icy because they are not necessarily able to treat those road conditions. So definitely need to just keep that in mind. And with that, I think we can go back and kind of show some of these viewer photos that we have been seeing, and right on cue. You guys are amazing. Let's go check that out. Snowing in Orangeburg and Gaston. Oh, we got some fun things to go through. Yeah, this one, I mean, you can see it's coming down hard. Definitely the conditions where if you can have a nice day inside, let's do that. But we're seeing it in Orangeburg, we're seeing it in Gaston. I mean, really this is across the Midlands. Our Derek Rush, he has been obviously live in Newberry County for the entire morning. He's been amazing with Stephen Biddix. He has been bouncing around Fairfield County. He's been doing great conditions, and Stephen was showing some of the slick road conditions downtown where he was, and it was definitely something. I mean, he was just kind of showing as walking and his boots on the ground, they were sliding quickly. So here we are looking at some of the weather pictures. This one is out of Camden. I mean, you can see it on the ground, right? Like, that's something to keep in mind if you are gonna be outside. And I love that a lot of these pictures are all from people's homes. You guys are listening and staying safe. You love to see that, but obviously you can see it accumulate on the stairs, on the railings. It is something to just keep in mind. I know we sound like a broken record, but this is important information. With that, you can see it on the yard there. Let's see where that is. Front yard in Great Falls. All right. I mean, this is all over. I know we've been saying it too, that the upstate obviously has been hit a little bit harder and it really kind of hung over there, but we are absolutely seeing impacts down here in the Midlands too, and even past. So where is this one? This one? All right, we're just seeing the ice storm, and boy, it is. You can see the accumulation there all over the grounds as well as the stairs. That's another thing maybe you just kind of forget about, but if you have stairs outside, if you're going up and down, checking your house around the yard, wherever you may be careful on stairs. Those kind of similar to bridges where air can get underneath them and can get icy very fast. So I want to keep that in mind as well. We know with all of these conditions, let's see what we're seeing there. Decks, first day of wintry mix. Oh, I'm not sure where this one is, but obviously you can see it builds up there. But bridges, stairs, porches, anything where air can get underneath, that is why it is more likely to freeze. And we have been telling you guys that. That's actually kind of pretty in eastern Sumter County. Yeah, but you can see it is ice. So it might be pretty to look at, but that's it. You don't want to drive. You don't want to walk on that. Look at this little photography. I love this. Shiloh in Sumter County. You are seeing it. Good for you. We love seeing these because obviously we have our team stationed around the Midlands, but it still helps to see where you guys are exactly, because that really helps us get an understanding. Oh, and this is Blythewood. Sleet in Blythewood. Again, look at that accumulation. It really does pile up, and it's definitely something to just be careful of, but it really is kind of pretty. I mean, can you imagine during our Christmas, we was definitely feeling a warm weather, but check it out now, January, and we're seeing sleet and some snow in some parts, and of course a lot of ice. Definitely conditions that, you know, you don't want to hang around forever. All righty. Well, thank you, team, so much for checking all of that out. We love to see the images from you guys. Let me see. I'm going to check if we have any updates. All right, Columbia Police Department says the following areas are closed due to significant ice accumulation. I'm just now getting this. Elmwood Ramp to Hugie Street, again, closed due to significant ice accumulation. That is from Columbia Police Department. Another one, North Main Street at I-20. Now, they will let us know, they will let the community know when those roads have reopened, but for now, Columbia Police Department, again, I want to make sure you know, Elmwood Ramp to Hugie Street closed, and this is again due to significant ice accumulation. North Main Street at I-20 also closed due to that ice accumulation. Of course, we will let you guys know as soon as we get those updated, but let me go ahead and check Facebook again. Where's everyone watching from too? I'd love to kind of know where you guys are. Let's see, WIS. Gotta type it in there. I almost typed in Facebook onto Facebook. That's not what I need to do. All right, we're gonna go back through maybe some of these closures real quick just to make sure that wherever you are, whatever you've got planned for the rest of the day and then into tomorrow, we have you covered. I do want to again remind you though of Lugoff Fire. They've been out this morning and they do say that the roads are slick from ice accumulation. So another area to keep in mind, obviously we know that Lexington has a few roads that are not closed, but they are very icy. Keep that in mind if you are traveling that way. All right, let's see. Road conditions in Fairfield County. The severe, again, road conditions, they are showing to have very icy conditions there. No surprise. I bet you all could have guessed that one. All right, and just to update you guys again about the e-learning for Monday, Richland 2, Lexington 3, Lexington, Richland 5, Newberry, Kershaw, Sumter, and Fairfield County school districts. Now, these are on e-learning for tomorrow. These are the ones we have learned about, been notified about. A change today that was on the e-learning schedule was Richland 1. They will now be closed for tomorrow. So students that are in and teachers, staff that are in the Richland 1 school district know that it is now closed. But these ones on your screen right now are the e-learning ones. I'm going to go to our website and just kind of scroll through it as well. And if we could do the, oh, you guys are so amazing. Richland 1, school offices closed and Saluda County, 2-hour delay. Do not want to forget about the delay. And with Saluda County, as our weather team and meteorologist Sandra Brogan was saying, it is important that even on these delays, when you are traveling in tomorrow, wherever it is that you may be going or coming from, just still be cautious about the road conditions. So a point that Sandra brought up that I thought was really, really good to know about was that with the rain that we are expected to see later tonight, again, not freezing rain, that's supposed to, go through early this afternoon, but the rain that is coming later tonight, it could help melt the ice that we are seeing on the ground. However, when sun goes down and when temperatures drop, there is the chance that what is on the ground that is wet, it could ice over. And that's what Sandra was saying is black ice. That's something to kind of just keep in mind for your commutes tomorrow. If you are going somewhere, if you do need to travel, definitely something to just be aware of. Lexington 1 and Lex 4, they are operating on normal schedules for school, as well as Orangeburg County, it's a normal schedule. So Lex 1 and Lex 4 did post as well, though, that they will provide an update this afternoon if there is a change to their school schedule. And so, of course, we will continue to follow that. Let's see where we're going here. Oh, Columbia Police Department. Okay, we just mentioned this not that long ago, but we want to show you guys because you got to see it, hear it. We got to do it all, and we love to do this, that the following areas are closed. Again, this is due to what they are saying is significant ice accumulation. Elmwood Ramp to Hugie Street. That's a big one, so definitely keep that in mind, as well as North Main Street at I-20. Definitely something you guys want to maybe plan for if you do typically use those areas. Sorry, got the mic a little close. They will let us know when they have reopened, but keep in mind these on-ramps, these bridges, they freeze first. So if you are seeing ice on the ground, maybe right outside your house and on these main roadways, which we are, then know that if you have to go over a bridge at all, if there is an on-ramp, then those are definitely more likely to be seen some sort of ice accumulation free. So you just want to be cautious on that. If you can avoid it, if you can do a different route, then that can go a very long way, because it is definitely something that you don't want to hit at all. So we're tracking that for sure for you guys, as well as you can see the little forecast right there. And obviously we're still in a lot of it, but we definitely have come a little bit of ways. I'm getting messages from my team. Oh, this is amazing. Probably here pretty soon, I will say we're going to get an update with the team. So thank you guys for letting me know about that. But we're just going to keep on going through what we have right now. And again, my best resource is our WIS app. I know I'm doing the plug, and if you're watching me right now, could be Facebook and our website, whichever platform it is, but it really does go a long way. Our team has been updating it, so I'm going to make sure that we're going to go to our First Alert Weather team just to make sure we do still have an ice storm warning in effect for most of the Midlands County, and that includes Saluda, Newberry, Fairfield, Kershaw, Richland, Lexington, Calhoun, Lee, and Sumter counties until 1 p.m. tomorrow. So take that into account as well, that there is still that active ice storm warning in effect. We have had team stationed really across the Midlands, and that goes into last night when we had our reporters live in the field as well. Again, we had our Derek and Steven. They were stationed in Newberry and Fairfield, showing us the conditions there. You could definitely see ice accumulation. Derek had spoken with a fire chief in Newberry, and he was encouraging people, if you do need to go to a shelter, to do so sooner rather than later, just because it does, with the conditions potentially changing, is why if you do know that you need to go somewhere else, then make those decisions before the ice keeps building up and keeps freezing. So just another thing to keep in mind. I know our Nick Neville, when he was traveling around Newberry last night, he was speaking with a gentleman who really was going across the state to try to find a generator, and he ended up finding one at a Lowe's shipment. But, you know, people just stocking up, doing what they need to do to find the necessary resources. Continuing to go through some of our just weather updates from our weather team. A winter weathery advisory is in effect until 1 p.m. Monday as well for Orangeburg and Clarendon counties. And we do have First Alert Weather days, of course, that is in effect right now and will be through tomorrow, because we are expecting that freezing rain, obviously, we've been seeing a lot of. And then tomorrow morning is the potential of black ice, which, again, we've been over that, but it is something that if you've driven on it once, like myself, you do not want to do it again. It is very scary. So we're just going to be extra careful and extra cautious with that. Even ice is scary. So whatever you do, just be very cautious with that. And all of these road closures we are continuing to track for you guys. I am going to go ahead and check Lexington one more time. The County Sheriff's Department, as they had made the post about the roads that were icy, they said at the time they weren't closed, but they were icy. Those ones are closed right there on your screen from the Columbia Police Department. They've done a wonderful job letting us know that Elmwood Ramp to Hugie Street is closed, with North Main Street at I-20. So those ones are closed. Definitely want to just be aware of all your travels. If you do have to go through roads that you know are icy, that you know are closed, or a bridge on-ramp, definitely recommend, if there is an alternative route, to take that. But of course, if you could stay home, that would be ideal as well. But of course, you know, you're going to get tired of hearing us, but we are here for you guys, and we're going to continue to give you the updates needed on air and on our digital platforms. And I think I have a special surprise, that we have the expert here with me as well. I'm going to scoot my chair over. Are we? All right, with that being said, let me unmute the mic.
Ta-da.
The expert, Chandler Jordan, meteorologist Chandler Jordan. You hear him before you see him. Chandler, thank you so much for all that y'all have been tracking. You really have been doing an incredible job. I've been talking a little bit about the freezing rain.
Yeah, I heard you over here.
I was trying. I was listening from you guys. But give them maybe a more accurate description of how long we can expect to see this.
Yeah, so we're in a little bit of a lull in between our activity right now. Our wide view of our satellite radar product. I'll zoom into the state view. Impressive storm system across much of the country. And here in South Carolina right now, you know, there's some pockets out there of freezing rain or freezing drizzle where the activity is a little bit lighter. But right now we're waiting for the main event. The main event with this system is going to be the leading edge of the cold front, and that's going to be where across Alabama and moving into Georgia right now. That's where the leading edge of that boundary is. And so that's going to be a second round of rain for us once we start to get closer to the mid to late afternoon and the early evening.
Okay, and with that, now are we expecting to see the pockets freezing rain in that, or is that mostly going to be the traditional rain?
So there are going to be some pockets of it where temperatures are going to be very close to 32 degrees. And so that's going to allow for some of this to be freezing rain. And that's because, as we have gone through these last several hours, I mean, we've had nothing but cloud cover out there, and it's really hard for temperatures to move any when it's as locked in with clouds as we are. And so we'll get over to look here at Elmwood Avenue. You had touched on it. Elmwood Ave, that's the ramp that's closed. You can see the officer that's blocking the on-ramp there. And so that's because of ice accumulation with how cold temperatures have been. And right now around Columbia, we're still at 25 degrees. Lexington's at 25. Newberry's at 25. So really, we've been sitting at this same temperature since about 5, 6 o'clock this morning. We really haven't been able to move much, but around areas of low pressure, we have counterclockwise motion. And so that means as it's moving through our winds out of the south, and whenever you have a wind out of the south, that allows for temperatures to warm up a little bit. So there will be an opportunity where we can get above 32 degrees, but it's not going to be until the leading edge of this rain gets here. And it's going to be a very fine line between below freezing and above freezing. And so that's why at first areas like Saluda, Newberry counties, even into parts of Fairfield County and near I-20, I wouldn't be surprised if the rain is mixing in with freezing rain. And then as the rest of our system is moving overhead, temperatures are going to steadily climb throughout the night.
And then question for you, obviously, Gamecocks playing Vanderbilt today at 3 p.m. And we have had some questions earlier in the day about people traveling in, and then now kind of with the storm, you know, the other weather hitting later in the day, really the brunt of it. Traveling after the game, kind of what does that look like for people obviously in the area? What is that going to see?
So it looks like the leading edge of our rain will start to make its way into Saluda, Newberry around tip-off. Tip-off's at 3 o'clock. Huge game, by the way, too. I know, top 5 matchup. And so by the time we get into the back half of the game, second half, and into the end of the game, that's going to be 5, 6 o'clock. That's where the leading edge of this rain is going to start to make its way into Columbia. And so I've got future radar. This is the brand new run that has come in, and it's this brand new run where temperatures have been locked in a little bit longer, closer to the freezing mark. And you'll see as we move it forward that it's once we get closer to 3 and 4 o'clock that the leading edge is making its way into Saluda, Newberry, Chester, Fairfield counties. But since temperatures are so close to the freezing mark of 32, that's why we have a little bit of this period of time where it's between a freezing rain and a liquid rain, and some of that holds on at times as it moves across the rest of the Midlands. So they're very well at 5 and 6 o'clock as the game is finishing, as everyone's going to be headed home, that this liquid rain also features not widespread freezing rain, but there could certainly be pockets of it where the temperature is near below freezing, and that would cause freezing rain and some rain as well. And so that's mainly going to be, I think, north of I-20 around Columbia. Very close call. It's going to be a very fine line around 32 degrees, but especially, you know, parts of Kershaw, Lancaster, Fairfield counties, I wouldn't be surprised if this had some rain and some freezing rain mixing in.
Well, we need South Carolina to bring the heat then.
Yeah.
With the game. Right. Obviously, we need the state to do so later this week.
Yeah, for sure.
Chandler, I know tomorrow that Saluda County School District is operating on a 2-hour delay. So as terms of travel for them, what can we expect really maybe with conditions?
So when we get to the night tonight tomorrow morning, this is a look at our morning lows. And the reason why we still have an alert day Monday is because whatever falls, doesn't matter if it's liquid or solid tonight. And even if we have a period of time we get above freezing, there are going to be some opportunities for temperatures to drop below freezing again. And so Saluda right on the mark at 32 degrees, right at 33, Aiken at 33 tonight. Newberry, Winnsboro, Chester counties, Lancaster below freezing, even around Bishopville, Camden, going to be near the freezing mark. For us in Columbia, Lexington, a little bit above that, so 36 isn't too bad. I don't think there's going to be widespread slick spots around Richland County Monday morning, but really Saluda, Newberry, Fairfield counties definitely going to have a couple of hours of our Monday morning with some slick spots.
And I mean, those temperatures really just dancing right above freezing at most. And Orangeburg, I know, 40 there for tonight's low, and we had some people kind of send in some viewer images of snow there, which, a few here and there, but mostly, I mean, this is ice that we're seeing really across the Midlands.
Yeah, and sometimes too, there have been some flakes flying through, but also sometimes you can get these pellets of sleet, and sleet pellets kind of when they hit the ground and freeze, they kind of look like snow, and so there might be a little bit of a misinterpretation, but also, there's definitely been some snowflakes out there. I know in Newberry, they had some snowflakes this morning. We showed them on Sunrise.
Yes, and the thing is, I'm glad you brought that point up, is because, it might look like snow, it might look, but I mean, when you touch it, it, and you can tell that it's either ice or it's just not really,
Yeah.
you know, something you want to be walking on, let alone driving on.
Yeah, it's kind of like sprinkles on a donut.
Yeah.
That's how I like to try and describe. Like, if you can't tell, I'm hungry.
Yeah, I'm hungry now too. But you're right, and it's funny
Yeah.
enough that you said that because Derek in Newberry, and he was saying it's kind of glittery, like
Yeah.
it's this interesting consistency that's beautiful from afar.
Yeah, for sure. Because, the thing with freezing rain is like the moment it touches a surface, it freezes on contact. Whereas they always like to say in the weather world, sleet pings instead of stings. If it stings, it pings, or if it pings, it stings. It's like a little bit of a play on the words. But yeah, sleet, if you're looking down and it's bouncing off of your jacket, that's sleet. And those
Okay.
those really fine pellets. That's why we always say in these types of events, we're rooting for sleet over freezing rain, because freezing rain, the moment it touches the ground, the road, whatever it is, it's freezing on contact. But the sleet pellets, those are going to bounce. Those are going to take a lot longer to try and accumulate on things.
It really is interesting, yeah. And when I was driving in around 3 a.m. this morning, it was raining. It was freezing rain, because I was like, let me just get my windshield wiper, and immediately, it was that icy texture on my windshield. So it immediately right there, I was like, all right, we are in this. It's serious with that.
And it was, it was crazy getting up this morning and, looking at all the cars in the parking lot and just seeing that, it looks like if you could just take a sponge or something, wipe your hand across it, it would come right off. But the moment you touch it, you're like, no, that's frozen solid.
And I know that our Judy and Greg and Adam, as well as our digital team, went live last night, and they were kind of looking at all the cars and touching them. And they also were team players and kind of pulling up the windshield wipers so it wouldn't get just stuck to the car. And so that gave me a hint to, all right, got to do that. Got to prepare.
Right.
If you can't park in a garage or underneath something, just factor in time if you do have to go somewhere to scrape off everything.
Yeah, and I've seen some, I don't know if we have one nearby. I'm going to go get it really quick. I see it over there. It's a can of the yellow stuff.
Oh, yes. The de-icer. I know our Derek Rush was having this, and he showed us how he was literally standing for his live shots and kind of had to de-ice some areas because it was so icy, and he was just standing. That's it right there.
I've never seen this stuff before. I normally have just been old school, I guess, just getting out there early and scraping. I know a trick that I used to like and do as well is we used to back home, and I'm from North Carolina, but whenever we would get a rare snowstorm like this or winter storm, we would put a towel over like the windshield. So then it kind of like sticks to the towel, and that thing is frozen, but then you can pull it right off and it's mostly dry.
That is so smart. As being from Texas, yeah, I didn't really see that much except the occasional, and I don't know really of those nifty tricks. I'd be curious what you guys, if y'all have any ideas, just to kind of keep the ice off of your car or door handles, or any maybe little wives' tales that you grew up with as a child. But that is pretty neat.
This
I
stuff
learned about
right
that
here.
the first time. If you can get your hands on that.
I
Or if you already
can't
have
wait
it.
to use it when I leave here.
I'm kind of curious to test it out, so I might
Yeah.
have to give it a go here pretty soon. But yeah, Derek was using it, and he was just standing, and he was in some slick spots, as well as Steven. So we're definitely still tracking all of it and seeing it. So like you said, we're in a little bit of a lull right now, but
Yeah.
time frame of when things could start picking up.
Yeah, let's go back to the radar here. So statewide, we'll do the national zoom. Again, impressive storm system.
Really
Much of the
is.
country, I mean, all the way with your folks in Texas through the Ozarks, Ohio River Valley. Now we're starting to see some heavy snow around the nation's capital, New York
Wow.
City. Getting in on some snowfall as well, Virginia. My mom was texting me a little bit earlier, and she sent me some pictures back home in Raleigh, and
Okay.
they're getting some snow, some sleet, some freezing rain as well. And closer to home is where we're going to see some patchy freezing rain out there right now, but we're starting to see it on the corner of the screen near Atlanta. We're starting to see the leading edge. That's the leading edge of the cold front that's going to bring us this next round of rain. And again, that's not going to be until at least 3 or 4 o'clock for Newberry and Saluda counties, and for us in Columbia, closer to 5 and 6 o'clock.
Okay, and again, if you are going to that game with the Gamecocks and Vanderbilt, going to be a good one at that. Keep it in mind that just if you're traveling in, traveling out after it, the conditions with that. And Sarah says, if we have to work tonight, are the roads safe? Well, Sarah, if you could provide a little bit, maybe more details about where you're working, where you're located, I know we can give you a better estimate.
Yeah, I would say If you are going to be anywhere that's already had ice accumulation, so a Saluda, a Newberry, Winnsboro, parts of Lexington and Richland County, especially northeast Richland County, I would say extra caution. The good thing with rain, though, is that while the rain, as it washes through, it's not going to entirely melt everything that has fallen and frozen. A lot of what has fallen and frozen will either be washed away by tonight's rain or this evening's rain, or temperatures are going to steadily climb above freezing throughout tonight. And so I think there will be some improvements there in that capacity, similar to, like if you're making yourself a drink and you got ice cubes and then you pour something out of the fridge on top of it, the ice, it shrinks some, but it's not like entirely gone by the time you finish pouring. So again, there will be some lingering spots. I'd say, Sarah, if you're driving over like a bridge or an overpass, and maybe, give it some extra caution, or if you don't absolutely have to work, then, don't do so. But at the same time, there will be some improvements once we first get the rain, and then from there, temperatures steadily climb throughout the night.
Real quick, will you kind of go into the reasoning, the science, if you will, about bridges freezing first and overpasses and kind of why that happens? I was even seeing a lot of stairs freezing over, the wooden ones where there might not be.
Well, funny you ask. We've got the perfect graphic for that.
Oh. Look at this. What team is on it?
Hopefully there it is. All right, sweet. So,
amazing.
So temperatures for most roads lose heat evenly. And so that's going to be where it says 36, where you see the sign bridge ice is before roads. So a lot of our roads, especially ones that, you've got ground below and then the bridge itself, a lot of the heat is going to be able to leave. But what makes it a little bit different for bridges compared to a standard road is that you don't have any insulation with a bridge. The cold air can rush underneath and above, and so that's going to cool off the surface of the bridge a lot quicker than the surface of a road that's got the ground beneath it to kind of keep it insulated. And to add some context to that, even right now, I don't know the exact number, but our surface temperatures, as far as the soil in the ground, that's well above freezing. And so that's why it kind of gives us this insulation or blanket-like feel for our regular roads, but you don't have that with bridges. And so what happens is that with the cold air rushing below and above, it eventually gets to a point where it's allowing for more heat to be released compared to a regular road. And so that's going to allow for the temperature to drop quicker. And so it's just some... you can be at 34, 33 degrees as your air temperature, but beneath a bridge, it can drop below freezing. And so that's why, especially places that tonight will be teetering around 33 degrees, like in Saluda County, Camden, around Kershaw County, some places where we've already seen accumulations today. That's why there is very well a possibility that, bridges and overpasses could be slick. But then as, you move farther southward, Lexington, Columbia, pretty much anywhere south of Columbia is going to be in the middle and upper 30s, if not 40 degrees tonight. And so that's where things are going to get a lot better.
Yeah, we do have a good amount of bridges here and obviously overpasses. So it is something that if you can avoid them, then do so. If you can't, be very, very cautious. And just kind of talking about other closures ahead of the or with this storm, I know city parks and everything. And Chandler, I know if you have to go and get weathercast and everything forecasting updated, please just let me know.
Yeah. No, I think we're just hanging out for now and talking about the weather. Any questions? So
please let us know about questions on Facebook as well. But just a quick reminder that KC City Parks, including the Riverwalk, well, they closed on Friday afternoon and they're going to be closed through tomorrow. So definitely something if you were heading out there. The South Carolina State Museum, Congaree National Park, they closed again yesterday and they will remain closed until hazards are safe. But again, that's something that they will update us on. But again, we've said Midlands government agencies, we have those closed on our website listed, as well as these parks listed, but a lot of closures around. So it's you're not really missing out on much.
I know. And, I wouldn't necessarily say it's the best day to want to get outside. No. And I feel like, a lot of us, especially after having some time indoors and, we might get a little stir crazy. Might want to go see it for ourselves. And I think that's just human nature to be curious. But at the same time, that's why we're here. We're here doing the best we can to give you an update as to how roads are looking or things outside are looking, so you don't have to. And so you can keep yourself nice, safe, and warm inside. But if you could, especially in places where we've already gotten accumulations of ice and roads being closed, just enjoy the day, take it easy, and stay nice and warm.
Yeah, and then you can also watch the game. You don't have to attend. I know we've been talking a lot about people traveling in, but you can also watch the game at home. That's a great thing to do, and that begins at 3 p.m. I believe ESPN is where that will be streaming. I can actually pull that up right now, but that's it's going to be a great game. Let's see what we're doing here. Confirmation, it is ESPN. Other closings, let's see, that came in. Prismahealth.org. Is this closed?
They are all different facilities, so you have to go online to find out which. Everybody should check if they have an appointment at Prisma.
Okay. Ooh, good information to know if you have an appointment at Prisma Health tomorrow. We're getting word that some are closed. I'm actually going to pull this up to check any closures, delays, that is. So just be thinking if you do have an appointment at Prisma Health, kind of what facilities. This is also something that you're able to do as well, and we'll have posted on our website. Of course, wistv.com, which is maybe where you're watching us, or streaming on some of our digital platforms. So I'm going to go ahead and actually see, because my phone is about to die here, guys.
Yeah, do your thing. I can stall. I'm just kidding.
Stall, Chandler.
I'm just kidding. No, but
It's good information.
yeah, for sure. And so we'll continue to watch as freezing rain makes its way across South Carolina here. And we've already got some pockets where you're seeing these occasional spots of pink moving across the radar product right now. That's going to be some areas where there's some pockets of where freezing rain will pick up a little bit more than some of the drizzle that's been out there right now. And so I'm seeing some of these pockets throughout parts of Saluda County. Those of you in Newberry might get another dash here of either some snowflakes or even some freezing rain here throughout the next couple of hours. That's going to continue to move through the Newberry County from there up and towards the Queen City and Charlotte. A little bit more now, close to Red Bank, more so right on the Aiken-Lexington County line near Lexington, just off of I-20, seeing another pocket of freezing rain. That's going to move up towards Lake Murray, Chapin, Irmo. You're going to get in another batch of freezing rain here over the next half hour to 45 minutes. A little bit farther to the south from there, parts of Orangeburg, Calhoun counties, right on the county line there of Calhoun and Orangeburg County. That's going to be where we're seeing some of these pockets of freezing rain continuing throughout the next couple of hours, and up into the north and to the east as well, heading through the morning and into this afternoon. Along I-95, looking mostly dry. Wouldn't be surprised if there's some freezing drizzle out there, but keep in mind that the air itself very, very cold. Again, another one of the closures that we were talking about a little bit earlier, that's Elmwood Ave. That's the ramp to take you on to 126. And that is going to be a icy mess right now. We all know that curve as well, especially when you're leaving out of downtown on a work day, maybe in a hurry. You gotta be slow on that curve on like a normal day. On a normal day, that curve will get you. And so on a day like today, absolutely. I mean, clearly it's closed, so no one's gonna be getting there. But yeah, very, very cold in and out of downtown. Just keep in mind, if you normally take Elmwood, you're gonna need to find another way to do so. And temperatures still haven't budged much at all since this morning. 25 Newberry, 25 Columbia, 23 in Saluda. Really all of us still in the 20s, and it's been like that for hours now.
And really, I mean, it's not like we have a big warm-up headed our way necessarily, even if it does warm up a few degrees. But Chandler, thank you so much, and thank you all so much. I'm going to tap out and switch out, but of course I'll be seeing you guys here pretty soon. But don't worry, because Billie Jean Shaw is going to be joining you guys to continue giving all the updates and all the information you need to know.
Sweet.
All righty. I think I'm going to just slide on out.
Nice. See you the next time.
Hello, everyone. I had to go back and get my sweater. It's cold over here. Hannah, were you cold?
Oh, it's chilly.
Yes, it's
a little cold.
chilly
That's okay.
for my South Carolina blood. Okay?
All right.
All right. Good afternoon to you all. I was going to say good morning again, but good afternoon. Hannah and Chandler, thank you so much for holding it down just
of
now.
course.
You guys did an amazing job. I was listening to your updates. We are continuing to work on updates behind the scenes as well. If you see us kind of running back and forth here in the newsroom, that's where all the action is happening. I do want to remind people, Chandler, that as we are continuing to stay in the know with the forecast, that there are some important numbers that you need to make sure you're sharing with your family members. Don't forget the Department of Public Health. They have released weather storm info line that activated a few hours ago. That number is 833-351-9990. This number is actually for the medical equipment shelter, which means that if you have a power outage, and we're starting to see a few numbers coming across the board right now, and you need to depend on electricity for any medical needs, you can call 833-351-9990. You can speak to an operator and they'll let you know if you are eligible for one of the medical equipment power shelters across the state.
That's good news, and that they're adding in that resource and trying to get as many people helped as can. Because I know, especially if some of these light accumulations keep building in, Newberry, Saluda, Fairfield counties, I'm sure we'll start to get a few additional power outages coming in here soon.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. So if someone's just joining us, welcome in. Good afternoon or good morning to some of you. I know that we've been saying ice, and the roadways, but we want to know what you're doing to stay warm and staying in the house as well. We want you to drop some of those comments in the chat, because you might be giving someone else an idea that they can do to stay home. So Chandler, where are we right now with the forecast and the freezing rain?
So what we're watching on this next couple of hours of our Sunday is that the leading edge of our storm system, the cold front associated with it, it's going to be making its way into South Carolina here in the next few hours. And so it's still got some time before it gets here. Right now, that leading edge is along the Georgia-Alabama state line, so it still needs some time before it gets closer to us. You can see a little bit of the leading edge of it starting to move towards Atlanta and that far left side of your screen there you're seeing on our radar product. But once we get closer to 3 and 4 o'clock, that's where we're going to start to get the leading edge of this to make its way into Newberry and Saluda counties. From there, between 5 and 6 o'clock, closer to the 6 o'clock hour for Columbia and throughout Lexington and Richland counties. And then this particular line will just continue to bring us some rain through this evening and into the night tonight as well.
All righty, that's really good. We're starting to get some questions, or continuing to get some questions from our live. A lot of people have questions specifically about areas and traveling. Sarah wants to know, she has to work tonight. Are the roads safe? Sarah, if you can tell us where you'll be traveling from, but overall, what would you say?
If you're headed anywhere north and west, especially if it's, Saluda and Newberry counties, I wouldn't. But, once we get into the night tonight, temperatures are going to be steadily rising. And so there will be several opportunities to be in the 30s for a lot of us this evening and tonight, and above the freezing mark. So if it's anywhere south of Columbia, I think you'll be okay. But north and northwest of Columbia especially would use some extra caution.
All righty. And we want to give you an update from some reports that we're getting on the ground. We've been getting a lot of messages, been tagged in several statuses about some of the issues in Northeast Columbia where people have not been able to drive on the icy roads. We got a report that there was a car that ended up in the ditch, a car slid backwards going down a hill, and there are several incidents over there. Also on Hardscrabble Road a couple of hours ago, we saw a video there of a crash because of the icy conditions. SCDOT and Highway Patrol, they've been posting some accidents, just reminding people, don't start your morning off like this. Don't start your day off like this. Stay off the roadways if you can. So we have a crew headed to Northeast Columbia right now to keep you updated on what we're seeing there. Stay home if you can. I just spoke to our Derek Rush. As you know, he was in Newberry County. And he ended up at the Waffle House.
Nice.
The Waffle House, there are two of them there in Newberry. One on Main Street actually had to close last night around 9, right? I know, Waffle House never closes. And then they reopened around 8 this morning. So he was there talking to the employees there about the precautions they're taking. I spoke to Sheriff Foster a short time ago, and he says that there are several, businesses and restaurants specifically that are appearing to just starting to open up. However, the roadways aren't bad on the main roads, but he said the rural areas
Don't even worry
about it. He also wanted us to share with you that he's hoping that nothing happens to anyone because it happened to him. He slid. He said he was riding down and tried to stop, and of course pressing the brakes didn't help, and he slid. So just be mindful of that, especially as we go later into the day and the evening.
Yeah, and really I would say anywhere north of Columbia, travel is just going to get riskier and riskier the farther away you get from Columbia. Southward, still some risk there with dealing with some patchy ice, but definitely anything north of Columbia, that's going to be tough travels as far as dealing with some ice.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm also getting reports from Sumter County, some flurries off of Broad Street. I just got a video of that. So if you are seeing anything in your area and you can safely, keyword safely, send a picture or video, please let us know what you're able to see. And we would like to talk about what's happening here to just give people a well-rounded perspective of the ice that we're dealing with here in the Midlands.
Yeah, and around Sumter, I'm not seeing anything on our radar here. That's not to say it can't happen, because a lot of this wintry stuff is so small in the
Yeah.
sky that radar struggles with
very
picking it
small.
up. But
Very
yeah,
small.
that looks like some flurries
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, wouldn't surprise me. I mean, the air's cold, and we've got
Yeah.
a lot of cold air in place. So I'm sure at times, we're either getting some sleet pellets, some snowflakes, freezing rain as well. It's unfortunate though that this system couldn't have been an entirely a snowstorm for us and gave us a good snow. I don't think too many of us at all are even going to be able to get more than seeing some snowflakes fly.
Yeah, and I'm just going to flip the phone around just really quick because we don't have it in our system. I got this picture out of Rock Hill, South Carolina, if you guys can see that in York County.
Oh,
and
wow.
we know that's what's happening in the upper state, of our area. So that was interesting to see
That's some
that
good
this
snow
morning as
there.
well. Yeah, I know they're having a good time there. All right, let's take a look at some of the viewer submitted photos that we're getting right now. I know Hannah was reminding you all that if you have any photos, to go to our website, wistv.com, click in the top left corner of the website, submit pics, and you can just simply add them to the photo album, but give us a description of what you're seeing. So right now we are taking a look at some bird feeders. This picture just came in. Look at that. The birds are still coming out. So thank you to whomever sent in that picture. We appreciate the view from your backyard. It looks like maybe a little bit of ice there. Maybe it was some water that froze overnight there in the back. That's what it appears to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, the birds at the feeder bearing the cold. All right, let's take a look at our next picture that we're getting into our WIS studio right now, as our digital team is doing such a great job working on that and keeping us updated. We do want to remind you that, again, the conditions may not look like much now. You may go on your deck and see something like this. This is on Silver Street. Earlier this morning, but can you imagine that type of coverage on the roads? And that's what it appears to be
Yeah.
right now. That's the major concern right now, Chandler, the roads.
Yeah, Silver Street, a lot of areas. This is going to be in Gaston, another patio deck that's covered in light dusting of ice, sleet, and snow. And, that exact same type of texture is going to be on our roadways, especially the rural roads. Maybe not the main roads, but the rural roads are pretty much untouched at this point. And
Yeah.
so, there's definitely going to be an additional need for caution, not only everywhere if you're driving, but especially on the back roads and county roads.
All right, look at that. Ice Storm 2026. That's what someone sent. We're seeing some backyards
Yeah.
have that frost on them. And we appreciate you all for sending these pictures in. And we had a picture not too long ago that we showed that had icicles hanging off of
I know.
there. So, seeing those close-up pictures really gives you an idea of what we can expect. We also want to remind you that there are several shelters that are open right now, and you can head to any of these shelters if you feel the need to. Fairfield Central High, Ridgeview High, Saluda, Nices Senior Center, that's in Orangeburg, Vance, the Orangeburg City Gym, Gallman Elementary School in Newberry, Batesburg Leesville Senior Center, Radius Church and the White Knoll campus, and also St. Francis Episcopal Church. That is in the Lexington County area. They're open as well. The warming centers typically open at 8 a.m. and have been closing at 5, but your shelters that you can stay overnight are 24 hours, and right now we don't have any ending date. But if you have a question about winter weather responses or any shelter info, you can call 866-246-0133. That's 866-246-0133. When you call that number, you'll be able to speak to a live operator who will be providing resources for you. So that emergency hotline has been activated.
That's good. And,
Yeah.
any and all the questions you might think you need or any additional information that you might want to ask. You know, they're there for that reason, and so it's a good resource to be able to have at this time.
Absolutely, Chandler. So what are you looking for it to happening later in the afternoon for those who may just be jumping on and having those questions about whether it's safe to leave their home or not?
Yeah, so we have some periods or pockets of the next few hours that are going to feature some freezing rain, and really all of this is going to be freezing rain until our temperature can make its way above freezing. And so what we're going to do, there's some folks there. That's one of the closures that we were talking about, Elmwood Ave's ramp onto 126. COP's been blocking that now for a while, so it looks like, you know, no one's going to be getting on that ramp to get out of town anytime soon, and that's because of how iced over the exit ramp is in particular. But just to give you some perspective, of course, maybe headed to the Carolina-Vanderbilt game, big matchup. We're going to watch for rain in Columbia towards the end of the game. 5 and 6 o'clock is the period of time where I think we'll need to keep an eye out for rain to build back in. And another thing we're looking at too is that we've been really cloudy so far today. Obviously it's very cold, and so temperatures really won't have much of an opportunity to climb until later in the day. And so that means as the leading edge of this next round of moisture makes its way into South Carolina, here we are at 3 and 4 o'clock, where you can see that Saluda, Newberry, Fairfield, Chester counties dealing with a direct freezing rain. And then as the rest of our system moves through, we'll slowly watch as temperatures climb above 32 degrees, but certainly through 5, 6, and 7 o'clock, there could definitely be some periods of time where we have this liquid rain on top of, at times, some mixing of a freezing rain as well.
All right, sounds good. And in addition to that Emerald ramp at Hugie Street being closed, North Main Street at I-20 was also closed because of the significant ice accumulation. We're just getting that from Columbia PD. But we do want to remind people to stay safe, stay off the roads if you can. Our First Alert weather team is doing such a tremendous job. Thank you. Doing a great job of just keeping us updated. You guys have been on it, spot on it, and keeping us updated through all of the changes and the pushback with the forecast. You guys have been doing a great job. And here we will continue to provide all the resources, not only on air, but online. And if you're watching from maybe your desktop, scan the QR code on your screen right now and make sure you download our app, not only our news app, but our weather app.
Yeah, right. And, you know, after the storm's over, we still got some fun information on there, and you can always get your latest forecast. And the best part, too, is that the app is personalized. You know, the iPhone app, WeatherBug, whatever your app might be. Yeah. You know, that's all computer generated. Ours, you know, we each put in the time to handcraft everything in there for all of, you know, everyone who uses it.
Yeah, so accuracy over here at WIS with the First Alert weather team. Well, thank you so much, Chandler. We appreciate it. And thank you so much for tuning in and watching. We're going to be making sure that we keep you covered here on all of our digital platforms. So if you have questions, make sure that you drop them in the chat and we'll make sure to respond. All right, stay safe, everyone. Stay warm and stay home.